Buckle up, because today, Canada sent a message to Washington that changed the game entirely. And it wasn't shouted. It wasn't desperate. It wasn't even dramatic in the usual way. It was calm, measured, and impossibly confident. Mark Carney stood there, not to lecture, not to threaten, but to make one thing crystal clear. The United States cannot take Canada for granted anymore. Here's the deal. Canadian energy keeps American cities running. Canadian manufacturing supports millions of U.S. jobs. Canadian resources stabilize industries that Trump's policies have been shaking like a snow globe. Carney didn't just list these facts. He framed them as leverage. Canada will keep strengthening North American supply chains. Canada will continue to be a partner. But, and this is key, Canada will only cooperate if the United States behaves like a real ally. No chaos, no economic bullying, no political punishment. This wasn't a plea. It was a line in the sand. Let me give you a concrete example.
With respect to aluminum, which is that, in effect, Canadian exports of aluminum to the United States saves the United States the equivalent of 10 Hoover dams of electricity. This is just sensible for both countries. But in order for, and there are many other examples of where working together makes the two economies, the three economies in the case of CUSMA, stronger. But in order for the United States to have those advantages, we need secure market access, and we need stable market access, a return to a degree of certainty. So we need a structure that aligns the incentives across both sides of the border, particularly on the American side, that will provide consistency of that market access. There are many, many opportunities to grow our economies together, and I haven't touched yet on emerging strategic sectors, critical minerals. We're talking about the Ring of Fire today. That is an opportunity, first and foremost, for the people of Ontario, including Indigenous peoples resident in Ontario. It's an opportunity for Canada. It's a potential opportunity for the United States.
Take Canadian aluminum. It's not just metal. It saves the U.S. the equivalent energy of 10 Hoover dams. Think about that. 10. That's the scale of what Carney is talking about. He also mentioned other sectors, emerging strategic resources, and critical minerals, like Ontario's Ring of Fire. Opportunities for Canadians, yes, but also for Americans, if the U.S. plays fair. Then Doug Ford stepped in.
Well, number one, that was the best ad that's ever been run, 12.4 billion views. We wanted to bring it to the attention of the American people. And be very frank, it was President Trump. If he didn't comment on it, rather than 12.4 billion views, it might be 12.4 people viewing it. But in saying that, our intention was to bring it to the attention of the American people through the greatest president that ever lived. That was Ronald Reagan. Protectionism does not work. We're their number one customer. They're our number one customer. We need to work together. We need to put that AmCan fortress together, and we're going to be stronger. It's as simple as that. President Trump came out the first day and said, if I was Canada, I'd run the ad too. And the little bird whispered in his ear, and the next day things changed. You know something? I'm in a very different position than Prime Minister. I respect the Prime Minister. He has to sit in front of President Trump. It's easy for me to sit back and say that, and it's a lot more difficult when you're the front line guy that's negotiating with him. That's how I feel. We did it at a fraction of a cost, and my goodness, it got people's attention. Simple as that. So it was a great ad.
Just to follow up, Premier, since you're there, I mean, Prime Minister Carney kind of made a face when you said it was the greatest ad ever.
It was.
I'll maybe get him to weigh on that as well. But by not backing down, are you putting your own interests ahead of people in the sector?
In what sector? I believe you just can't roll. You can't. I'm in a different position. I'm not speaking for the Prime Minister. I'm speaking for the people of Ontario. We're getting hit the most out of any single province in this entire country. He's attacking our steel industry, attacking our automotive sector, attacking our manufacturing, our pharmaceutical, our life sciences. I'm not going to sit back and roll over and not fight back. To protect the people and their jobs of Ontario. It's as simple as that. That's my job, to protect the people of Ontario. I'm going to continue fighting to make sure we get a fair deal with the U.S. I can tell you one thing. I talked to I'm going down to sign a deal with the governor of New York tomorrow. I can tell you I talked to governors almost every week, almost every single day, a senator or congressperson, Republican or Democrat, even Republicans say they don't agree with the deal, but they're too scared, except 4 of them that crossed the floor to vote with the Democrats about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I'm gonna fight like I've never fought before to protect the communities in Ontario, protect their jobs, and protect the people.
And suddenly, the tone shifted from calm diplomacy to steel-hard resolve. Ford didn't backpedal. He didn't apologize for the controversial ad campaign targeting Trump. Instead, he doubled down. Yes, the ad worked. Yes, it exposed hypocrisy. Yes, it shook things in America. And yes, it needed to happen, he said. Ford made it clear. Canadians deserve leadership that stands up, not bows down. Here's the fascinating part. Ford acknowledged Carney's role. Carney negotiates directly with Trump, maintains stability, and defends Canada while keeping things measured. That's strategy. Ford, meanwhile, plays offense. Together, they form a pressure Canada has never applied before. Part diplomacy, part political jiu-jitsu. Ford didn't just talk. He painted the battlefield clearly. He reminded everyone that Trump has been targeting Canada's steel, aluminum, automotive sector, manufacturing, and even pharmaceuticals. The strategy: overwhelm, intimidate, destabilize, and hope the other side collapses. But Ford's response? Pure defiance. Canada will not slow down. Canada will not panic. Canada will not retreat. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Carney reinforced that Canada will protect its supply chains, defend supply management, and prioritize Canadian workers, industries, and economic stability before considering any U.S. demands. That's sovereignty in action. That's leadership. That's independence without being reckless. Canada is willing to negotiate, to collaborate, to build North American prosperity, but it will never surrender control. Ford took it a step further. He framed the battle in real terms: tariffs, economic uncertainty, job security. Every move the U.S. makes to destabilize Canada is met with preparation, planning, and action. They're not just surviving, they're building resilience. They're moving faster, cutting red tape, signing agreements with provinces and territories, unlocking $200 billion in growth, and creating opportunities for Canadian workers coast to coast. Carney and Ford together are doing something rare. They're combining strategy with strength. Carney keeps things calculated and steady at the negotiation table. Ford rallies the public, enforces accountability, and brings pressure to Washington in a way that's impossible to ignore. And let's be clear, this isn't just about defending against Trump's tactics. It's about Canada defining its own path. From clean energy to critical minerals, from aluminum to automotive manufacturing, Canada is shaping the terms of engagement, not just reacting to them. Small modular nuclear reactors, rare earth minerals, energy exports. Canada is showing it can be both indispensable and independent. The bigger picture? Trump isn't facing a divided Canada anymore. He isn't dealing with hesitant leaders. He's facing a nation that has realized its power, united behind leaders who refuse to bow or be bullied. Carney and Ford together are a strategic offense and defense. They reassure Canadians, but they also send a clear signal to Washington. Canada isn't just pushing back. Canada is shaping the future. So what happens next? Canada will continue to negotiate, continue to collaborate, and continue to push for shared prosperity, but on its own terms. U.S. leaders can no longer assume leverage. They can no longer ignore Canada's critical role in the economy. And Canadians? They see leadership that is calculated, bold, and unafraid. This story isn't just a moment, it's a turning point. Canada has chosen confidence over fear, strategy over chaos, and sovereignty over submission. And if you think this is over, think again. Because when Carney and Ford stand shoulder to shoulder, they're not just defending Canada, they're redefining its power on the world stage. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing. I appreciate you.